Hello you all and welcome back to Living Unveiled with Maddie. Let me say something that might sound funny at first, but this stayed with me while I was studying the scripture. Have you ever walked into a room, turned on the light switch and nothing happened? So you flip it again and again. Maybe you even hit it like that's gonna help. Everything looks normal, the switch is there, the wiring is there, the room hasn't changed, but the power is gone. And for a moment, you almost don't register it because everything looks like it should work. And if you stay there long enough, you kind of adjust. You reach automatically for your phone lights, you slow down, and you compensate. Not because the room changed, but because the power did. That is the danger. The danger is not when something is obviously broken, but when something essential is missing and life kind of continues around it. Scripture gives that condition a very interesting name, Ichabod. But before Ichabod is ever spoken, something is said. And if you miss what they said, you will miss why everything that followed was inevitable. In 1 Samuel 4, Israel goes to battle and they are defeated. Men fall, the momentum breaks. And then they say something that sounds right, but exposes everything. In 1 Samuel 4:3, they say, why has the Lord defeated us today before the Philistines? That's a good question. It's the right question to ask. But watch what they did next. They do not wait for an answer. They don't inquire, seek, or return. Rather, they move. And then they say this. Let us bring the ark of the covenant of the Lord from Shiloh to us, that it may save us from the hand of our enemies. Now, pause there. Not he will save us, not let us seek the Lord, but that it may save us. Probability. God has been reduced to a possibility, a method, an option. Not the one they depend on, but something they can deploy at will. And even deeper than that, notice the direction of the language. Let us bring the ark to us. Not let us go to him, but bring him into what we are already doing. That is the shift. God is no longer the one they are aligned to. He is something they want to fit into their plan. Does that sound familiar? And once that happens, everything that follows is just consequence. So they send for the ark, and who carries it? Hophni and Phinehas, the same men God had already judged in 1 Samuel 2, the same men who treated his presence casually. So now, what is already corrupted is handling what is supposed to be holy, and no one stops it. So the ark enters into the camp, and suddenly, everything feels alive again. In 1 Samuel 4:5, we saw all Israel shouted with a great shout so that the earth resounded. It feels like God has come. It sounds like victory, but nothing has actually been realigned. Because you can bring symbols into a situation without bringing your heart back into proper alignment. Even the Philistines hear the noise and they become afraid. And they say, God has come into the camp. But watch this. The Philistines had more awareness of what the ark represented than Israel had of how to approach God. And then the battle comes and everything collapses. We see in 1 Samuel 4:10-11, Israel was defeated, 30,000 men fell, the ark of God was captured, and Hophni and Phinehas died in that battle. The same men who carried the ark fall in the same day. Because, listen, you cannot carry God's presence like a tool and expect to stand under its weight. So a messenger runs, dust on his head, clothes torn, he gets to Eli. And when Eli hears, not about his sons first, but about the ark, he falls backward and dies because he understood. This is not just loss. This is departure. And then scripture narrows in to a woman. the wife of Phinehas. She's pregnant, full term. And as the news reaches her, your husband is dead, your brother-in-law is dead, and your father-in-law is dead. And lastly, the ark is gone. Her body goes into labor immediately. The women around her try to comfort her. You have a son. But she doesn't respond because she understands what has actually happened. And with her last strength and breath, she names the child Ichabod. Not after reflection or after time, right there in pain and in clarity, the glory has departed. Because she saw what others didn't. That this didn't start in the battle, it started in the moment they stopped seeking and started assuming. And this is where it presses into now, because that same language still exists today in church circle. Let us bring God into this. Let's add a prayer to this. Let's involve God in what we're doing instead of let us seek him first. Let us hear before we move. Let us align before we act. It sounds subtle, but it is the difference between following God and trying to make God follow you. And once that line is crossed, everything can still look right. You can still shout, you can still gather, you can still move, and not realize that nothing has actually been realigned. So here's the question for you today. What are you building right now that you are asking God to come into, instead of asking him to lead? Because Ichabod does not begin when God leaves. Ichabod begins when he's no longer the starting point for everything that you're doing. So don't just bring him into your plans. Go back, pause, seek, wait until what you are doing is not something you are asking him to bless, but something is actually leading you to do. Because the goal is not to have God present in what you are doing. The goal is to only be found in what he is actually doing. Anything else, no matter how loud it sounds, no matter how right it looks, is just one step closer to Ichabod. Until next time, stay unveiled.